think, by the time you understand the way they think, then you'll be in the best position. You are in the best position to protect the ships. Remember, these ships are individuals. They don't know anything about cybersecurity. These are employees. Some of them are professionals. They are professionals in finance. They are professionals in human resources. They are professionals in the different areas. In engineering, they are professionals in different areas. Professionals in their fields, but they don't know anything about cybersecurity, so they are vulnerable. And in cybersecurity, we say humans are the weakest link of every component. Humans are the weakest. This is something you should have at the back of your mind. Humans, you and I, are the weakest link in every component. And even the attackers, the wolves, they do understand that us as humans, we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable. Someone can maybe, let's say, okay, we have a situation in one of the companies I worked with. One of the companies I work with, a big company here in Canada. So one of the employees was which is actually a human resource manager. A human resource manager was newly hired. This person was newly hired, and this person came into the organization and did not bother to go through the cybersecurity user awareness and training program. Because normally when you employ a new person, the first thing you have to do is to ensure that they go through a cybersecurity training. Some of the things you'll be looking at in this cybersecurity training is like training them on how not to click on a link anyhow, how to verify things before they go about giving out information about the company. So this person was hired, is a human resource manager, highly professional person, was hired into the organization, came into the organization and did not bother to go through the user awareness training program. It was sent to this person. Actually, I was the one managing the user awareness and training program for the organization. So I actually sent the training to this person, and this person didn't go through it. And since humans are the weakest link, an attacker, a malicious person, because when I keep talking about an attacker, what should come into your mind? I think Dr. Regina will define all of this to you. This is a malicious person. This is someone with a malicious intent. It's someone with a negative intention. And there are different motivations. We're going to get into that. Just to be able to finish this story. So a malicious person was able to pass through this human resource manager. What actually happened is this malicious person sent an email to this human resource manager and said, oh, claiming this person was claiming to be an employee of the organization, sent an email to this human resource manager and said, oh, I want to update my account information. Normally, as an employee, you give your account information to the organization so they can pay you through your account, your bank account information. So this malicious person reached out to this employee who's a human resource manager and said, oh, claiming to be an employee of the organization, that I want to update my account information. Which this was part of the training. If this human resource manager went through the training, he or she would have done more verification to be sure that this person is actually an employee in the organization. But because he didn't go through the training, the person went ahead to update the account information with a falsified information that was provided by this attacker. And so at the end of the 2 weeks, because payment is done every 2 weeks, at the end of the 2 weeks, when salaries were being sent, the salary of a legitimate employee was sent to the attacker, which was I think over $3,000 to $4,000 was sent to the attacker. So this tells us how serious cybersecurity is. So at the end of the day, when we're doing our investigation, because it came back to us, so we had to do our investigation to know exactly what happened. Remember, I am the sheepdog. It is my role. Okay, something has happened, something bad has happened. It is still my role for me to investigate what actually happened, what went wrong, what was not done that needed to be done, that would have prevented this attack from happening. The company has lost, it might seem insignificant, say $4,000. But what if it was something bigger than $4,000? And we've had incidents where we paid up to close to $1 million, where we lost over $1 million. Yeah. So when we're investigating, we started investigating. So I had to go through my different platform and show, oh, did this person, the first thing I went through the training, I said, oh, did this person actually went through did this person went through go through the training that was sent to him? And I checked, oh, he didn't go through the training. That alone is a problem. So what am I saying? Humans are the weakest point in every system, and attackers, whether a cyber criminal or an intruder or an insider threat, they will always want to pass through a human. And again, in cybersecurity, we said, so I'm trying to give you a kind of a general point of view in cybersecurity. I mean, we're going to look at very interesting things, but this is just like an overview of what you should expect. So in cybersecurity, we say, like even the attacks we are talking, you are the sheepdog. No matter how good you are, you'll be working with companies. Some of you will be working with companies that will have the best cybersecurity teams. But in cybersecurity, we say that it is not if an attack is going to happen, it is when the attack is going to happen. That's to say, eventually, one day, something bad is going to happen to the organization. One day, an attacker or a threat actor or a scammer, whatever name you give to them, will gain access into your system. That is where now, since you know that it is not if something is going to happen, it is when something is going to happen. This will also guide you on the kind of controls or solutions you need to be able to put in place to mitigate any form of bad thing. I'll go back to, I keep talking about attackers. I know a lot of you here, what comes to your mind is a scammer. But in cybersecurity, there are different levels or different categories of threat actors. We call them threat actors. We call them malicious individuals. We call them cyber criminals. So there are three categories of threat actors. I hope you guys are taking this down. Three categories of threat actors. I say three categories because beneath each of these categories, we have subcategories. But this is an overview of threat actors. There are three categories. The number one, which is the most sophisticated type of threat actor or malicious individuals, are state-sponsored threat actors. State-sponsored threat actors. I'm going to put that in the chat. State-sponsored. State-sponsored threat actors. So that is the number one category. We call them state-sponsored threat actors, or we call them nation-state actors. Nation-state threat actors or state-sponsored threat actors. This category of threat actors are by far the most sophisticated types of cyber criminals. The reason they are the most sophisticated is because they have a pool of resources. They have all the resources they need to be able to launch an attack against an organization or against an individual. These individuals are being sponsored by other nations. They are being sponsored by other nations. I'm sure some of you might have heard of them like cyber warfare, where another country, another nation uses the cyberspace. And you all must know that the cyberspace now is also one of what? The battleground where nations show their muscles. So with state-sponsored threat actors, they are being sponsored by a nation. For instance, I mentioned the other day, for instance, we have nations like, let's say North Korea. North Korea, they have a dedicated individuals who are trained just to be able to use the cyberspace to launch an attack, to launch attacks against other nations. And there are over 6,000 of them. 6,000 of them that are being trained by the state. The state gives them, they have monthly salaries, they are well taken off by the state, and their only job description is to look for ways to be able to infiltrate or attack other nations. We call them state-sponsored threat actors or nation-state threat actors. What should come into your mind is what motivates these individuals. What motivates state-sponsored threat actors? What is their motivation? Since they are being sponsored by other nations, but what really motivates them? What will motivate another nation to launch an attack against another nation using the cyberspace? Why don't they use the military? Why don't they use ammunitions to be able to launch an attack? Why can they not use military equipments to launch an attack against other nations? Why do they choose to use the cyberspace to be able to launch to attack other nations? There are a couple of reasons, there are a number of reasons. Number one would be, which is the main motivation of state-sponsored actors usually is for proprietary reasons. Proprietary reasons in the sense that, for instance, the United States of America is known well known for its defense, for her defense capability. If there is one thing that the United States of America is known for, is their defense capabilities. And so America will do everything to prevent other nations from gaining knowledge of their strategy, the strategy they use in order to build a very tough defense mechanism. So America is doing all to prevent this strategy from going out. So other nations now are also doing everything in their power to be able to spy, to be able to gather information on what makes the American defense mechanism to be very strong. If we get their strategy, we can use this to be able to build up our own defense mechanism. I'll be able to compete with the Americans. Apart from the defense mechanism, apart from their defense, sometimes it's economic power. What makes the Americans to have very strong financial capabilities? Why are American business successful? Why are American banks known to be the best banks in the world? What are their strategies? And so now they want to use state-sponsored actors, they want to sponsor hackers or threat actors to be able to spy on the on the economy nature of America. And so by the time they get that secret, they can use that to build their own system in order to compete with America in the world stage. So that is their motivation. It is not financial. It is not financial. It is proprietary. Because of the different, I've given different examples for that. The second category of threat actors, of cyber threat actors, we call them cyber criminals. Cyber criminals, these are individuals where every people know about them. People like scammers, they fall under the category of cyber criminals. And their motivation is mainly financial. Their motivation is mainly financial. If they are thinking of gaining access to the WhatsApp of an individual, what comes to their mind? What financial gain will I make from this individual? And I've had a lot of individuals, even using I've had a lot of individuals who gave money. People use my name. People use my name and say, oh, I mean, even through our class, use my name and say, oh, they reached out to some of our students some time ago and say, oh, Mr. Felix just postponed the class of today to tomorrow. And so please, for you to register for this class tomorrow, can you please send me the code I just sent to you so you'll be registered for this class? And there was a student, there was a new student that fell into this and gave out some money and all the and all the like. And not only this, if I work over the way, I travel to different places away from Canada. I hear people having the same story. So cyber criminals, an example that you all will know, they are scammers. Their motivation is financial. They are looking for your credit card information. They are looking for how they will make money from you, and they use different strategies. They use different schemes to be able to to get money from you, which some of you are going to see as we move on with these. One method they will use is something we call ransomware. It's something we call ransomware. They want to use ransomware to make money from organizations, to make money from individuals. The last category of threat actors, we call them insider threat actors. The first category was state-sponsored threat actors. The second is cyber criminals. Cyber criminals. The third is insider threat. Insider threat actors. Okay. So this is the third category. The third category of of threat actors. Remember, all these categories they fall under. Remember when I was talking about the analogy, I gave you the analogy. They all fall under. They are the wolves. They are the wolves, but there are different categories of wolves with different intentions, with different motivations. So insider threat actors, these are individuals that works with the organization. For instance, Cyber Pro Group, we have some of our employees there. Some of them are there with you, but those of you in different in Cameroon, the employees of Cyber Pro Group. They have a lot of information about Cyber Pro. They are exposed to a lot of information. Some of them have access to our platforms. So these individuals are a threat to Cyber Pro. They pose a level of threat to Cyber Pro. Yeah, in the past, cybersecurity, was we had a concept of perimeter security. Perimeter security is a type of security where you're saying that, oh, like this is my house. I have a house and the house is fenced. Everybody, anyone who lives within my house can be termed to be a secure person or can be trusted. And any person who is outside of my house is untrusted. That was how cybersecurity was viewed 10 years, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago. Let's not bother securing those that are within. Let's keep our eyes more on the people who are outside. Those people pose risks to us. So a lot of companies, a lot of organizations spend their time protecting the organization from outsiders. These outsiders will be what can be state-sponsored threat actors and cyber criminals. They didn't give any attention on on individuals, on their employees who pose a lot of threats. They are a lot of threats. They are the highest threat because they have a lot of information about the organization. They know about the contracts you're working with. Some of them know about your trade secrets. Some of them know about the strategies you're working with. Some of them know about what makes up your business. What they understand the reason why your business is surviving. So these individuals pose the most risk to the organization. So like I was saying, they were focusing on protecting people who are outside. Everybody who is within can be trusted. And so this made us to come up with a term we call in cybersecurity zero trust. It made us to come up with a term we call in cybersecurity zero trust. What does zero trust say? Zero trust says that you are going to give individuals, your employees, the access they need to do their job, or you're going to ensure you verify whatever they are doing. If they need access, maybe in your financial application to do their job, you will give them that access, but you will make sure that you verify whatever they are doing. Any questions? It looks like there's a lot of information. Any question? Any question? There are a lot of things we can look at here. There are a lot of things. Any question, please? Let me get some questions from you so we have make it interactive. Let me have. Are you guys getting everything? You guys should ask questions. Ask me questions, please. Ask questions. Ask questions.
Hello,
Don't just. Yes. Go ahead.
I have questions, sir.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Fiat.
That's just is it was interesting. But I was thinking, how can you avoid inside traitors? How can you avoid them? Because I think it is so hard.
Yes, for sure. It is so hard. We're going to look at something as we move on with the call. We're going to look at something we call access control. Access control, but one of the ways we remember I've talked about zero trust. One of the things you want to do is to monitor their activities. Is to monitor their activities. Remember I said you cannot completely erase the risk. We can only reduce the risk, the cyber risk. We cannot erase it completely, but we can reduce it. We can reduce it to a minimum, to a bearable, to a minimum level, bearable level. So one of the things you must do is to monitor their activities. Where do they go to? And I will tell you that over here, and not only over here, even outside of this thing, a cybersecurity professional, for instance, if you are working, I have a friend is supposed to come here. He's supposed to visit a senior friend. He's a cyber professional. He works in the United States of America. He's supposed to visit us. He's supposed to visit me this month in November. And when I when I made a request for him to come here to do something, for us to do something, I needed to give him one more notice. The reason I'm giving him one more notice is because he works with the U.S. government. He works with the U.S. government as a cybersecurity professional, and they will need to. He will need to inform them 1 month ahead of time for them to approve. And upon giving him approval, they will need to check which country he's going to. There are countries that if he mentioned that he's going to, they will not give him approval to go into those countries, to visit those countries. The reason they are doing so, what they are doing, they are simply monitoring the activity of this person. They are trying to put in place a control that will an attacker can exploit. And so I gave him he had to give them ask for approval 1 month ahead of his visit to Canada. And that is Canada, which is actually an ally of the United States of America. And it was very clear. He said it to me that if it was other countries like in the East, like in Asia, there are some countries like, let's say, North Korea or other countries, Russia or China, he might not get the approval. And even if they give him approval, know that American agents will be monitoring, they'll be monitoring him because he's an insider. We can bring it down to the level of a company. What you can do, the most effective thing to do is to monitor. You monitor what they are doing. You monitor even the way they are using their computer. You monitor their computers. I give you an example. One day I went to work. And because I work at the corporate office or this corporate office or this company that I was working with. And I went to work, and because I had a lot of access to the company, a lot of access. So I went to work, and my my boss, like boss of boss, called me and said, "Oh," came to my desk and said, "Oh, Felix, I want to have a meeting. I want to have a chat with you." I said, "Oh, sure." Then we said, "So let's use one of the meeting rooms." So we went to one of the meeting rooms and he said, "Oh, you visited a site. I was told you visited one site, which was Slack, because Slack is not was not being used by the it's not being used by the company. That you visited one site, and I just want to understand why you visited the site." And immediately he took a screenshot, because you cannot deny it. Immediately he took a screenshot and showed me a screenshot of the time and when and the date and the time I visited that site. He took a screenshot, and it was an IT team that informed him of this. This will tell you that they have solutions in place that gives them alerts. Once this category of individuals, because of the access they have, once they go outside of what is accepted by the organization, give us an alert us. And so I'm sure they received an alert, and this alert was they took a screenshot and sent to my boss. And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's true, because you cannot deny it." I said, "Oh, yes, I visited this site, but I was just searching on something." I mean, that was around when we were to begin our training. We were to begin uh, uh, our training, take our training outside of Canada, the training we're doing right now. So I was looking for a collaboration platform. I was looking for a collaboration platform that we can be we'll be using. And I will not say, unfortunately, because that was not really a big deal. I was not hiding anything there. So I used my company's computer to be able to do that search. I mean, normally for you young uh, 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 young people get into the field, you should uh, avoid using your company's computer to use to for personal things. Yeah, so I had to accept. I said, "Oh, I visited the site, and it was for this reason, for this reason." But what am I saying? I'm just trying to say that as an insider, particularly insiders with high level access, you need to monitor them. You need to monitor every activity they do. You need to, even sometimes they even go outside. They do. Do you know? I'm a pastor. Some of you might not know. I'm a pastor even in my church. Still with this company, because of the access I had. I was called one day in a meeting, and this meeting was about. They said, "Oh, they visited my church website. They were trying to we're trying to discuss on something, and they said, oh, they even went as far as visiting my church website just to be able to understand what I'm doing." To be able to understand what I'm doing. I'm sure they want to understand how this person thinks. They want to understand what is his motivation, what motivates him. They want to understand. So these are some of the background things that can be done. That can be done when you have when you are faced with your employees, just to be able to monitor their activities, because they pose a lot of risks to the organization. The reason you're doing all of this is because you want to reduce the risk. The risks. Let's say maybe an attacker wants to take advantage of them, the risk is going to, because of the information you already know about them, the risk is going to reduce. I give you another example again, and this will tell you why it's important to monitor the employees. Still with another company, we had this employee. This employee was managing one of the main platform of the organization. The reason I say it's one of the main platforms, you guys are going to look at it. We call it it is a GRC tool, governance, risk, and compliance. This is a tool. This is a tool that keeps all the risk, all the cyber risk within the organization. And just a matter of definition, when we talk about risks, we're just looking at uncertainties, things that can happen that will infringe on the company attaining its objective or our objective. That is it is a risk. So this guy manages this platform that keeps all the risk in the organization. Now, if you want to know everything, you want to know all the loopholes of the organization, if you go to this platform, you'll be able to you have an idea. See, every attacker, that will be it will be like if you it's like a gift. If you expose an attacker, a malicious person to that platform, it's like you have presented to him or her a gift, because they're going to use that gift to launch serious attack against the organization. So this person is managing this platform, and this person has an attitude where this person goes around borrowing money from other employees, and is well paid, well paid. And one day we went to work. I mean, he has borrowed. I'm saying he borrowed money from me like twice. And before I got those money from, I got the money from him. I had to follow him up many times, multiple times, for him to give back what he took from me. But he was being paid. We paid very well, very well. So the reason, what you should ask yourself as a professional, but what is he using his own money to do? And as an organization working with that, managing that platform, you start thinking, but what if this person is unable to manage his finances? It therefore means that this person is vulnerable. This person, an attacker can pass through this person, can pay off the car. This person can be bought. This person can be bought since he's unable. He has problems with finances. He's unable to what? He's unable. He can be bought to bought against the organization. And so this person when wanted to work, and our boss said, "Oh, this person has been fired." And we said, "Why?" Why? We said, "Oh, because we noticed that he keeps going around, borrowing money from other employees, and we see that to be a risk, and it is a risk. It is a risk because if someone who is managing the main platform of the organization is always having financial problems, is always having financial issues, unable to manage his finances, then someone can just come one day and say, 'Oh, can we give you $1 million?' If you cannot manage a little salary is being given, someone comes and say, 'We'll give you $1 million just for you to give us access to this platform.' He's going to sell the organization. So it's a risk. And so that was how this guy was fired. And this was a job for, I mean, thousands of dollars that he was being paid. He's and to confirm this person was fired, and I would say 1 week after, the person reached out to me because we're all working at the corporate office. Reached out to me, reached out to me and said, "Oh," because he was getting close to me, visited my church one time. And the person came to me and said, "Oh, Felix, can you please share with me the link to that platform? Because once a person is fired, all their access is revoked. We revoked all their access immediately. In fact, sometimes even before they leave, sometimes we do it 2 days. Sometimes we do it 2 days before they are being fired. We revoke all their access. Before the announcement, it is being announced to them, they have already lost all their access to the different platforms. And so he reached out to me and said, "Oh, Felix, can you please share with me the link to this platform?" I said, "Oh, but that was just cool." I said, "Oh, but George, what do you want to do with it?" I said, "But how are you going to access it?" I was just trying to understand. I said, "How are you going to access it when you're no longer with the organization?" He said, "Oh, just send it to me. I'll see how to access it." This only tells me that this person had a malicious intent. All of this is just to explain that insider threat poses a lot of risks to the organization. And as cybersecurity professionals, you will start working with organizations, you will be placed in a position to give recommendations to them. You must monitor, no matter how trustworthy they are. That is where the concept of zero trust come into place. That is where it is more handy. Trust, but verify. Not only with this, even with your friends. When I used to teach, sometimes we had classes where we had a lot of married people, and I was say, "Oh," so I'm not saying that you guys should just go, if you're a married man, you go and start your suspecting your wife, you're suspecting your husband. But again, you have to verify every little information that comes to you. Verify everything. And that is why you see as a cybersecurity professional, you tend to be more, not, I would say, skeptical, but yeah, skeptical in a sense, but it's just because again, we're talking about cybersecurity hygiene. If you're preaching cybersecurity hygiene, then the hygiene must begin with you. The hygiene must begin with you. You must start monitoring the places you visit, the sites you visit, the website you visit. You must start there. You must put a control on the places you go to. You must put a control. You must know the type of friends you are keeping. Because a friend can go out there and do something criminal. Because you didn't check, you can involve yourself into that. So we tend to be more skeptical. We tend to take things slowly. We don't do things in a hurry because we want to verify every single thing before we go about with it. And sometimes it becomes a problem to others. But that is just part of the hygiene we have developed over time. Okay. Yeah. Any question? Any question, guys? Before I send it to Dr. Lukong, I'm not even looking at my notes. What I was. That is how you guys will be good. Few months from now, you guys will be so good. So good that when you talk cybersecurity, you discuss cybersecurity somewhere, people will be amazed. Okay, no questions. Are there questions? Let me have one or two questions if I pass it on to Dr. Lukong. It was like 1 hour listening, but so she's just going to look at a few things. Any questions? You see the cybersecurity projection, it keeps going up. It keeps going up. So you can never go wrong. I tell anyone who is getting into the field of cybersecurity, you will never go wrong with it. Because the projection, it keeps going up. Year after year, there is a high demand for cybersecurity professionals. High demand. So what you need to do is to put in the hard work. You just need to put in the hard work. Just invest your time in it. The time you are investing, some of you are doing degree programs elsewhere. The time you're investing that degree, you spend time to go sit for a test. A test that sometimes some of you will come out for. I mean, I have different degrees. You come out from it, but you're unable to get anything from it. If you can invest your time, invest your energy and resources on cybersecurity, I tell you, it is just a matter of time. You all will be here. You all will be joyful for investing your time and energy. There are different positions. But some of you will have questions. We'll share. I think this is already in the online platform. Those of you who are still to get, gain access into it. Yep. So I'll pass this on to Dr. Lukong. If you guys don't have any question for me, I'll pass
So
it on
there's a
to her.
question here.
Oh, there's a question. Let me take that, please. Yep. Let me get the question.
So what are vulnerabilities?
Okay, what are vulnerabilities? Okay. Look at vulnerabilities like loopholes. Look at vulnerabilities like loopholes. I'll go back to again human. Most humans, most individuals have loopholes. Or look at it as access points. That for instance, if someone wants to access something about your life, they look at a point in your life and say, oh, if I go through this route, I'm going to get him or her. And unfortunately, most of our women, their loophole is emotions. Most of our women are ladies. It's emotions. Sorry if I'm touching someone. It's emotions. As our guys too, and some of our guys that are meant to they want to exploit this vulnerability. So it's also every system. Remember, we talk about every system. Humans are a loophole. They're access point. They're access point that attackers can pass through to do something malicious. So a vulnerability can be an access point. It can be an access point where an attacker can exploit to gain access into an organization. There are also loopholes that an attacker can exploit to gain access into a system. Even like Microsoft, you see, even the Windows system you're using, the reason why Windows will ask you to update your system all the time, the reason they ask you to update your system all the time is because they know that once they find a loophole, they want to cover the loophole before a malicious person takes advantage of it. Those are vulnerabilities. Thank you. That's a good one, Beckley. Any other question? Any other question? Okay. If there are no questions, then doctor is there. Doctor, will you want me to stop sharing or you use the presentation I have on there? Hello, doctor. Dr. Regina, are you there? Do you want me to stop sharing or you want me to stop sharing or you use the presentation I have on?
I can use it. Stop
Okay.
sharing.
I should stop sharing.
Okay, if you want to continue to share, that's fine. But I think I will go at my own pace and talking about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, guys, you guys have not met Dr. Lukong Regina before. I mean, she has been so busy, but yeah, she is. She's based in the US, also a cyber professional expert. So she will continue with us for the next 1 hour. So feel free to ask the questions, and I'm still here with you. Okay, thank you, doctor. Over to you.
Thank you, Prof, for this amazing presentation this morning. I am sure everyone will be leaving this class with something. Even if we end the class right now, they would have learned a lot this morning. So, hello, guys. I have not been opportune to meet you guys, but you know, I am happy that we have met each other today, and we will continue to know each other and to know what we have for each other. So today, I'm just going to continue from where Professor Felix have ended today. And if there are questions, like he has said, let the class be an interactive class. Stop me at any point and ask a question. And even if you remember something that he taught, he mentioned, and you could not ask a question at that time, just ask your question. So like he said, I am Dr. Regina Lukong. I have been a teacher in the field for so long. While back in Africa, I used to teach in some of the universities like UB, like St. Monica University, like Catholic University. And while in the US here, I continued teaching, teaching in some of the schools, and then I'm teaching some programs in cyber. And I've worked, I have a couple of cybersecurity certifications, and I've worked with a couple of organizations in different areas like IT auditor, third-party risk assessor, and information analyst, and many others. So we are going to be working together, and call us at any time. We are just a few calls away from you. If you give us a call at any time, you always get us. And if you don't get us, leave a voice message. But like Prof said, all our recordings are uploaded in our platform, Sycamore. And while you are assessing them, if you have any questions, always reach out to us. We want to help you. We are out, we have committed our lives to help our brothers and sisters so that they can make it in life, so that they can get to where we are and even more than where we are. So for us to get that done, we need to work together. Come to us, ask us questions. I think I have not been attending the classes for a while now because of the issues I had, but I think you must have been told about our holistic program, what we are about to give you, what we are trying to give you, and what you are going to end up with. So if you look at your program, you see that at the end of your studies, not even at the end, some of you who are so smart, we can start preparing your resume from the 3rd month of our program of your training, and you put it out there, and we begin to prepare you for interviews when you are called up or when you see a job that you are interested in and you want to do everything to have it. So we just want to work with you until you can make it, until you can achieve something. We started like you. We started like all of you, and we are where we are today. So our belief, our philosophy is that we can all make it. if we work together. When I was joining cybersecurity, when I started, a friend of mine that I was encouraging to join me as I started, she said, oh no, don't do that. Don't waste your time, because what I'm told is that it is very difficult to have a job in cybersecurity. It is very difficult, yes. But why is it that others have? There are people who are working in that field. There are people who are professionals and they are working in that field. So I told her, if others have made it and they are working in that field, I think I can also be there. I can also be there. What do you think that those people who are working there have that I cannot have? I'm someone, you can call me a gold digger, you can call me an ambitious person, because I always want to have it. And I always believe that if A, B can make it, then I should be the C that will make it also. So I want everybody to have that belief. I want everybody to be have that confidence and work with us. We have made it, so you can make it. We have made it, so you can make it. Okay, thank you guys. With time, I will come to know each other more. I will know the names because I've just seen new faces in class. It's a very amazing program, and I've seen a good number of guys in class. I would love to know all of you, and I would like to work with everyone who is seated here today. So we had an amazing lectures this morning, and like I said, I want to just continue from where we ended. The reason why we are seated here today is because gone are the days that companies used to produce their products, sell them, and count their money to see how much profit they have made, and that was it. But now, organizations are faced with attackers who want to steal businesses, who want to steal customer data, who want to steal company identity or individual's identity. We call it identity theft. Banking, they want to fraud banking organizations. They want to steal company secrets. They want to steal company information and carry out what is called industrial espionage or economic espionage. And they keep doing that. Prof just showed us a diagram of the job growth in cybersecurity. You see that projection it keeps just growing. Why? Because these attacks keep growing every day. Yesterday we knew of this. Today we knew this one is coming up, and it keeps growing. And as they are growing, it gives us opportunities. They need people in those fields to be able to stand the test of time. So because those things keep growing, that is why we are all seated here today, and we are saying that gone are the days that companies used to relax. When you look at what is happening today, you begin to feel that companies are just there for IT services. No, companies have their goals. They have their strategic goals. They have their business goals. They have all types of goals that they sit down to set. But how can they achieve those goals without without carrying out the cybersecurity processes now? It has just become very difficult. Companies cannot achieve their goals without developing an enterprise-wide security program that will be able to prevent these attacks from companies achieving their goals. So because of that, companies now have to work so hard, and that is why we are seated here. We are seated here to train you. Our goal is to make sure that you and I have a solid and deep roots of understanding what is cybersecurity and what can be done, so that you can not only protect yourself, against many other threats, but you have to also understand how to protect businesses, all types of businesses and government enterprises or government organizations who depend upon the skill sets that you are going to acquire from this class. So our goal, that's why you are seated here today, to be able to understand what can I do, what can we do in order to protect businesses, in order to protect government organizations, in order to protect uh, 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 all the commercial like businesses, different types of businesses, government organizations, so that we can survive. We can survive. If we don't have that understanding, if we don't know what to do, therefore the organizations are not going to survive. All organizations are depending on us now. They depend on us. Why are they depending on us? They are depending on us because, like Prof mentioned, if you remember, Prof mentioned, we looked at the different categories of threat actors. So you have to understand the different threat actors. Like, what did we say? What did we say about the different threat actors? Why do you even have to know them? We talked about state-sponsored, because the government will depend on you to survive. The government is going to depend on you and I to survive. The businesses will depend on you and I to survive. That is why we have to know about cyber criminals who are there for financial gains. The business will survive if you and I know the different types of threats that can affect us, like insider threats. We are there. What can we do? What are the things you think we can do to prevent a business from succeeding, from achieving its main goal? What are the things that we can do? So looking at that or talking about that, let us try to look at what is cybersecurity. We are here to study cybersecurity. We are here to master a series of processes. We are here to have a deep understanding of what cybersecurity is. So, and what is cybersecurity? If you look at the screen, what we have on the screen, the image on the screen says cybersecurity, or it could be called, you can put it cybersecurity, two different words, or you can also have it as one word, cybersecurity, or information, you can also call it information security, which is IT security, is the protection of computer systems and networks from attacks by malicious actors that may result in unauthorized information, disclosure, theft of, or damage to hardware, software, or data, as well as from the disruption or misdirection of the services they provide. Remember, all what Prof was saying this morning is all engulfed here. It's embedded in this definition. What are we here to do? I just said we are here to have a deep understanding. Our goal here is to help you have solid background, have deep understanding, have deep roots. And for you to have these deep roots, you must have the basic. Your foundation must be solid. How do we have a solid foundation? How do we have deep roots so that you will be able to defend yourself, to protect yourself from these threat actors, to defend companies, to protect company data, company assets, to protect government assets, government data, and all the rest? How are you going to have that deep understanding? It is it today that we want to have. We want to put a solid foundation. We want to start today. And for us to have this solid foundation, in order to understand how to protect yourself, how to protect commercial businesses, how to protect government organizations, we need to know what cybersecurity is and what can be done. Somebody asked a question. We are just listing all these threat actors, the different categories of threat actors. How then do we prevent them from attacking companies? That's a very huge question, and it cannot be answered on one day. We cannot answer it in one class. All what we are going to be doing circulates around that question that this guy asked. I think it was Fias or so. Yes, Fias, that question is a very huge question. It's a very huge question. Companies would do that by putting in place what is called controls, mechanisms. And the controls, you don't just put controls. There are different types of controls that you can put. And before you put the different controls, you have to know what you are trying to prevent, to protect. And in order for us to do that, we are going to look at what is called the fundamental principles of cybersecurity. The fundamental principles of cybersecurity. For us to understand this question, what is cybersecurity, we need to look at the fundamental principles of cybersecurity, which are usually called the goal of cybersecurity. What is the goal of cybersecurity? That is why I said you need a solid foundation. For you to have a solid foundation, you have to have the fundamental principle. You have to know them. You have to understand them. You should be able to talk about them, because everything we are going to be talking about here will stem from these fundamental principles. And what are these fundamental principles? They are the core, we call them the core goals of security, which are there to provide what is called availability, integrity, and confidentiality. And this is always also known as the CIA triad. The CIA triad is the goal, is the core of cybersecurity, which stands for, the C stands for confidentiality, the I stands for integrity, and the A stands for availability. And each asset in an organization, because what is this goal? This goal, when you understand it and when you work around it, then you are able to protect the assets of a company. What are the assets of a company? They are the belongings that a company has. They are those things that the company have that will enable the company to achieve their goal. And these assets, they are not just one. They are not just one type. There are different types of assets. We have critical assets. We have different types of assets. So when you are going to protect, like going back to the question that Fiax asked, each asset will require different levels of these types of protection, each asset. So when you look at an asset in a company, you will see that maybe let's give them different names, like critical, let's say company A, sorry, asset A. Asset A requires different controls, different mechanisms, different different levels of protection. So you go to asset B, it requires different levels of protection. You go to companies, asset C requires different levels of protection. So that is what we are going to be doing all through our program. It's not just one thing. It's not just saying it in a sentence that you think that it can work like that. No, it requires a lot. It requires a lot. And it requires different functions. It requires different people. It requires different set of processes for it to be done. So that's what we are going to be looking at. That's your whole program, looking at what are the different processes, what are the different actions, what are the different controls that can be put in place to protect these types of assets. That's our role. That's the role of a cybersecurity professional. You have to know why you are here. You have to know understand what you are going to be doing. So when we look at the fundamental principles of cybersecurity, which are the availability, the integrity, the confidentiality. So what is availability? What is availability? Can somebody answer that question?
Yeah, I can try my best, dear Dr. Kong.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think availability is the time when the user of a system or a website or app can access the data anytime you want it, and at the right time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Some other person? Some other person?
I would like to say
When
access
you please, when you
readily.
want to talk, you call your name because I'm not seeing that those who are talking. I would like to know you, so when I'm addressing the question, the answer, I'll be able to call your name.
Okay, so this is Randy speaking.
Okay, Randy, nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, so I would like to refer to availability as readily accessible. Like
Readily
you have
accessible.
access to it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Do we have any other option again? Any other opinion? Any other opinion? Okay, if not, okay, so availability. When you talk about availability as a cyber security professional, you are talking about making resources available to authorized persons, at the appropriate time, making resources available to authorized persons at the appropriate time. So availability ensures that whatever you want to do, whatever you need to use at that time, maybe it's a network device, maybe there are computers, maybe there are applications, you want to use them in order to carry out an activity in an organization, you should have it available. Because if if any of these things, maybe you needed to transmit data and the network is not working at that time, the network devices are not available at that time, it means that there is no availability. And so that activity will not be carried out. And so productivity is going to drop because there was no network available at the time you wanted to transmit some information. Maybe it's a computer, a laptop. You want to use that laptop to do some work. That laptop is not available. You are not going to do the work because that particular laptop that you would have used is not available. And maybe it's an application. Maybe we are doing an online business, e-business, and that same morning, our customers are queuing up to begin to purchase from us, and before they know it, that application is down. The e-line application, the online application is down. How are they going to place their orders? How are we even going to cross-check orders that have been placed the previous days? How are we going to process those orders? So they are not, the application is not available. So when you talk about availability, you are talking about the different resources that need to be available to authorized persons at the appropriate time. And so that question, like I said, is not a question that you just, or is not a point that you just address it one time like that. It is something that we are going to be looking at from time to time as we run this program, as we study. We are going to be addressing this. It's not only today that you hear this term. It's not only tomorrow. You keep hearing it, and we'll keep talking about it, and we'll keep looking at it. So availability ensures that the resources, the available resources, resources are made available to authorized persons and at the appropriate time, at a reliable time. So we are saying that availability, they should be able to recover from disruptions in a secure and quick fashion, so productivity is non-negatively affected. So if you don't have it, then production is going to be affected. So what can we do now, looking at availability? What can we do to ensure that those services are available? What can we do? So there are different things that we can do in order to ensure availability. And what are they? Like we said, if it's an application that we need in order to run a process, then we need that application. We need that application. If it's a software, if it's a hardware, if it's a process that has to be put in place to make the system available or to make the information available, then it has to be available. And it's a lot, like I'm saying, it's not a one-day thing. It's a lot. That all what is needed for a process to run smoothly, it has to be available. It has to be authorized by an authorized person. So you have to do everything possible, because our role, our task, what is our role? What is our task? Our task, we are charged. You and I as security professionals, we are charged with providing security to our organizations. And if the services, the process, the resources are not available, how then do you provide security to an organization? So for you, to ensure that that availability exists, you must put in place what is called a control, what are called controls, what are called mechanisms, what are called practices. There are some practices that you will need to carry out in order to ensure that the resources that are needed to carry out company activities are available. And for you to have that, we must put in place what are called controls. And what are controls? Controls are mechanisms. Controls are the things that we can do, maybe some practices. Like, for example, putting, let's say, a physical control, and we will talk about that, different types of control. We have different types of control. We have the physical controls, we have the administrative controls, and we have the logical or technical controls. So if it's a point, or for you to have availability, if it means that we should put a technical control in place, if it means that we should put a physical control in place, if it means that we should put an administrative control in place, then we need to do that in order to ensure availability. Well, let's look at some examples of physical controls that we can put. Let's say we want to protect a laptop, like we heard, that availability could be that of a laptop that we need to use, or a device, or a server, or any kind of device, a network device that we need to use in order to process company data or transmit some information or do whatever thing we want to do for the business to continue to run smoothly. So if we have to we have to ensure availability, is it a physical control that we need to put in place? If it's a physical control, for example, we need to, if we have a building, an on-site building for that business, we need to put maybe an iron door or a double lock, or we need to put a security camera, or we need to put a fence around our building, or we need to put a cage around that computer that is in the office. That all of that are being done in order to ensure that that laptop does not disappear, because someone can walk into that building and steal it. If it's a network device, someone can grab that network device, can destroy it, can do anything to it. If it's an application and that application is stored in a server or in a computer, what do we need to do? We need to put a logical control, which will be what? An antivirus or a password. We can put a password to that laptop so that nobody logs into that system and delete or remove or corrupt that application. We need to protect that application. So we can put a logical control. And then administrative control, we need to have policies in an organization that states what should be done for any activity that we are carrying out, for anything that we are doing. So you will see that for you to protect a system, for you to ensure availability, we can have physical controls put in place, we can have administrative controls put in place, we can have logical controls put in place. So that is how you work around in order to achieve the goal, for a company to achieve a goal. So like I said, we are charged with providing security to organizations. We are charged with two key things. And what are those two key things? The security and the risk. I remember Prof defined what is risk. What is risk? The probability that something bad is going to happen to our assets. And if we know that something bad can happen, that there's a probability that it can happen, then what are we to do? We are now charged with what is called security. And our role as cybersecurity professionals is to secure those assets. Since we know that that risk exists, that there is a probability that it can happen, that something bad can happen to our computer, then we have to do everything possible to be able to protect that device, to be able to protect that computer, to be able to protect that server, that data that is stored in the server, so that nobody can have access to it. Now, the next thing, we talked about three key core principles. What did we talk about again? Integrity. Integrity. We said is CIA. Even though I started from the A, but the second core principle is what we call the integrity. What is integrity? Integrity can be assured when information that is stored, information that is being processed, information that is being transmitted is protected. You provide the necessary protection so that that information cannot be unauthorizedly modified, cannot be unauthorizedly deleted, someone who has not been given the right permission should not have access to that information. Because if you have access to that information and modify it or edit it or do whatever thing you do to it without being authorized, it therefore means that his integrity has been tampered with. There is no integrity with that information. And talking about information, in cybersecurity, we know that there are three states of information. What are these three states of information? You have data at rest. We call it data at rest, the information that has been gathered, because every organization survives only when they have proper management of their data. Data is the live wire of every organization. Information is the live wire of every organization. You know, these terms are usually used interchangeably, so there's no problem, but we can still make some little difference with data and information. So the three states of information that I was trying to talk about are data at rest, which means the data that has been collected is stored and is in our devices. Maybe it's stored in a hard disk, maybe it's stored in different media. Now, you could also have information on transit, data at rest. We have data at rest, data on transit, which means that that data has been processed or is not processed. Maybe you are transmitting it to another end so that it could be transmitted, it could be processed. We call it data on transit. So we have data at rest, we have data on transit, and then we have data in progress, which means you collected the data and they are trying to process it in order to be stored. When you process it, you want to store it, you want to do whatever thing you want to do it with it, so it could be in progress. So we have data at rest, we have data on transit, and we have data in progress. So these are the different types of data. And so for that data to maintain integrity, upheld integrity, it therefore means that that data should not be unauthorizedly modified. You have to prevent it from happening. What will you do? So then the data, the hardware, the software, the communication mechanisms, everything that has to do with data, you have to ensure that those things are well protected. Because if they are not well protected, then somebody has access to it, he or she now can unauthorizedly modify the data. You have to think about, you have to try to enforce what is surrounding the devices, or what is surrounding the data, and providing what you think can enable that data, that device, that hardware, that application, so that it remains intact and nobody has access to it. If you have somebody who is not who hasn't got the permission, who has not been granted the permission, have access to it and do some modification or tamper with it, do whatever thing they want to do, it therefore means that information does not have any integrity again. Let's say, for example, a user, when you were entering your banking information, or you are a data entry manager in an organization, you have entered this data, it is stored in your database. You create this in the database. Maybe it's banking information. This person is supposed to be paid maybe like $3,000, and or this person has saved $3,000, and that's the data you enter. And before you know it, somebody had permission, or had authorizedly accessed the data, and then edited it to make it 300. Instead of the 3 zeros, you put 300. You know the chaos that can happen in an organization if that happens. Let's say in a bank, you went and saved $3,000, and the next minute you are told you saved but $300. That is going to bring chaos. You are going to spread bad news about that organization, and what is going to happen? That is going to cause the reputation of the organization to drop. Bad reputation. And that is one of the key, that's a risk, one of the highest risks for an organization to face, reputational risk. Because when you face that risk, when there is bad information circulating about a company out there, that company reputation drops, and for you to ever bring it back is never easy. We are going to look at the different types of risk. One is reputational risk, financial risk, market risk, all the types of risk that an organization can face. But for now, we are talking about the three core goals of cybersecurity, which are availability, integrity, and confidentiality. So we have said, for integrity, make sure that unauthorized personnel do not have access to your information. They do not have access to modified information that has been stored, or information that is being transmitted. So you have to protect the information that is being transmitted. How do you do that? By encrypting your data. So we are going to talk about encryption. Encryption is a very huge topic that we are going to also address as we go along. So for you to protect information that is being transmitted so that unauthorized personnel do not have access to it, you have to encrypt that data. There are lots and lots of things that you will have to do in order to protect that information from being unauthorizedly modified. Now, and even the information at rest, the information that's in your database, how do you protect that information from being unauthorizedly modified or edited, or whatever could happen to it? So you have to look at that. So you see, it's not something that, like I said, that can be addressed in a class, or that can be addressed in one day. Those are the things that you are going to be talking about. They are a lot. They are a lot. And so we keep looking at that, we keep talking about that. And as cybersecurity professionals, that is what our role is. We are called to ensure that there is availability of assets, there is integrity of information, and there is the last goal is confidentiality. What is confidentiality? Confidentiality is just to ensure that the necessary level of secrecy is enforced at each junction of a data processing, and prevents unauthorized disclosure. Unauthorized disclosure, that is what we want to avoid. Confidentiality. It should not be information that is at rest, information that is being processed, information that is being transmitted should not be unauthorizedly disclosed to people who are not supposed to have access to that information. Information in an organization is usually classified. With the government, you can have top secret information, you have secret information, you have confidential information, you have public or unclassified. Then with business organizations, you have 3 levels of information, 3 levels of classification, which are what? You have secret, you will have confidential information, and then you have public information. Public, just like the name goes, means that anybody can have access to it. Remember the difference with government organizations and businesses is that government organizations have what is called top secret. And you remember when Prof was talking, he said the 3 levels of categories of cyber threats. We also have nation actors, nation threat actors, or government sponsored. We can call them state sponsored threat actors. They sponsor that in order to have, so that those guys can have access to top secret information. Top secret, like he mentioned about America having one of their core goals that the whole world is always fighting for it, is how to protect their information. How do they do that? So these sponsored state actors, they are out to have secret information, top secret information of other countries, of other nations. Because if they have it, they will use it to attack those nations, or they will use it to build their own nation to be as strong as the other ones that they are looking up to. For example, America. Every nation looks up to America. So we are saying that confidentiality simply ensures that the necessary level of secrecy is enforced at each junction of data processing and prevents unauthorized disclosure. And this level of secrecy will prevail if we know what to do, if you and I know what to do. Because like we have said, companies are relying on us. The government will rely on us. That is why do not go and apply for jobs, or these guys who are flying around with fake certificates, or they don't even have certificates, or they have not even studied anything. They go try to get jobs. It is dangerous, because you want to bring that organization down. This organization is going to depend on you, is going to rely on you for their survival. So you go in there and you don't know what to do. You go in there with a fake certificate. You go in there, you don't even know what you are supposed to do. And you go sit there as a worker, and with a company, an organization is relying on you to survive. It is not good. So we are saying that confidentiality is to ensure unauthorized disclosure of information. And so for you to prevent that, what can you do? Some examples of disclosure. How can people, like Prof said, remember you are putting yourself as an attacker. What can you do to have information that you are not authorized to have, or to see information that you are not authorized to see? What are some of the things that you think you can do? So some of these attackers They will break in encryption schemes. They will steal passwords. They will do what is called social engineering, like you heard Prof mention. That's why when you start a cybersecurity job in an organization, they will have to ensure that you have gone through that training of social engineering, because like he rightly said, humans are the weakest link. Humans are the weakest link, which means that if you want to get anything from an organization, you can get it through a human being. It could be a face-to-face, it could even be face-to-face connection. It could be a virtual connection, writing an email to you, and then you click, or sending a malicious code to your email, and then you download that email. So all of that, they can get it done. Whatever they want to do, they will get it done through human beings. And so you see, like there's something we call shoulder surfing. Somebody, you are there, somebody is standing by you and looking at what you are doing. As you are striking the keys, he's taking off his head and trying to look through your shoulder to see what you are entering there. These are some of the ways that these attackers can have disclosure to unauthorized disclosure to information, to confidential information, to top secret information. So you need to avoid that. That is our role. We have to work around that in order to ensure that confidentiality is ensured. Okay, before I continue, are there any questions? So we are looking at the 3 core principles of cybersecurity. We have talked about integrity, we have talked about availability, we are now talking about confidentiality. Are there any questions before we proceed, please?
Yes, I have some question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, as I have learned about the networking, and those 3 is also fundamental in a networking. And I just to ask, what is the relationship between the cybersecurity and the networking? Thank you.
Cybersecurity and tracking?
Networking.
I don't get the last word. Can somebody help me?
Networking.
Networking.
How many people are talking? I still can't get you. One person. Your question is, what is the relationship between cybersecurity and
networking?
Okay, networking. Oh, okay. Wow. Yes. So what is networking? Do you have an idea? Because networking is simply a process where systems are connected so that they can communicate and share information. Different systems. It could be phones and computers. It could be different types of computers. It could be many computers. So they are connected. It could be computers and printers. It could be computer or other types of computers and servers. They communicate. They share information. So when those systems are connected to each other, then they are able to share the information. And like I said, remember we said you can have information, and that information could be information that is at rest, which means that we have gathered some information, we have processed it, we have stored it and it is in our computer. Now, you are over there, and I'm having a lecture here right now, and these lectures are being recorded. They are going to be stored in our platform, Sycamore, and at the end of the day, you can access it from your computer. It therefore means that our computers are networked, so we can communicate to each other. The computers are networked wirelessly, wherever you are. That's why any part of the world, our students are all over the world, which means that you can be in any part of the world and you can share information with me, and I can share information with you. At the end of the class, you can request for a document. Say, but Miss Regina, Dr. Regina, can you share that document that you are using for your lectures? Maybe it's not yet in the Sycamore, or it's one we can. Sometimes I have side notes that I don't put them in Sycamore. Can you share that document with me? And I will like, okay, just give me your email and I will send that information to you. Then you send me your email and I share that document with you. By the time you sit down on your email and open your email, you have it. What has happened? Information has been transmitted. Why? Because our machines are networked, wireless network. Our machines are networked. And that is what attackers will do. Now, knowing who you are, knowing who I am, an attacker can eavesdrop into our communication. How? They will tap the information that is being transmitted from my computer to your own. Let's say it was top secret information. Once they can be able to do that, it therefore means they will break into they will unauthorizedly break into our systems, break into our communication, break into our data, and they will now have what we considered it should only be for you and I. So networking simply means systems, devices are connected so they can share information, so they can communicate with each other. You can have a local area network where your printer is connected to your laptop, to your desktop, to your server. And once you have information, you print it from your computer, and you can have it in a local area setup where there are many computers that are connected to that printer. And you can, like most offices have a local area network, which means you go to an office, you see there's room A, room B, room C, room D, and they are printing from the hallway. Their printer is at the hallway, and you can sit in your office and print and go and pick from the hallway. Room A prints from the room A, but goes and picks from the hallway. So the printers are connected, and that is network. That's a local area network. That's a local area network. Systems are connected so they can communicate with each other. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah. So, are there other questions? Are there any other questions? Yeah, so we just continue. So we are saying that with confidentiality can be provided because we want to ensure that no unauthorized persons has information, has this data, or this data is disclosed to an authorized person. So how can we provide confidentiality? We can provide confidentiality by, like I said, encrypting the data that is stored, that's data at rest, or putting hashing the data that it has rest, encrypting the data that is being transmitted, and enforcing other access control mechanisms or processes. Because like I said, when data is classified, it therefore means that unless you are of a certain level, unless you are granted permission to access data of a certain level, you cannot have that. So in an organization, we will have secret data, confidential data, public information. Public, we don't care, because public means everybody can have access to it. Like our website, that's public information. We say, okay, this is our website. You can go to our website. Anybody asks, we put it there on the website, and anybody can see it. So when you log in, you can begin to see. So whatever we have placed there is public information. That's what we call. So when there's information in the organization, it is always classified. Now we come to confidential information. Who are those to see confidential information? There must be some people of a certain level, maybe by your role, the role you are playing in that organization, maybe by your years of experience, maybe by the position you hold in that organization. you are allowed to have access to that information. Top secret information. Maybe you must be a manager of a certain category or of a certain level before you can have access to secret information. Or you must be a business partner or a shareholder in order to have access to that top secret information. So information in an organization is always classified. And so when it is classified, is it being transmitted? If it's being transmitted, we need to encrypt that data. If it's being stored, that's data at rest, we need to hash that data. We need to encrypt that data. So we have to protect that data in order to ensure that that data remains undisclosed. It should not be disclosed. So availability, integrity, and confidentiality are critical principles of security. You should understand there are many, how they are provided by different mechanisms and how their absence can negatively affect an organization. That is what we are looking at. So the CIA triad, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and it must be fully understood by anybody who wants to do cyber. If you don't understand that, then whatever you'll be talking about, you only be dangling. So we, as cybersecurity professionals, we are charged with protecting company information, protecting company assets, protecting government assets, government information from being unauthorizedly modified, ensuring that it is available, ensuring that information that is meant to be confidential, that is not disclosed to unauthorized persons. That is our responsibility as cybersecurity professionals. And we are not doing that just with one thing. You saw it in the definition of cybersecurity, that cybersecurity is the protection of systems, is the protection of assets. These systems could be hardware, there could be software, there could be processes, there could be applications. We are charged with protecting all these assets that belong to an organization. And like you heard Prof said, there is no issue like there is no risk. There is risk. And the only issue we have here is, when is it going to happen? There is nothing like it will never happen. It will happen. But when will it happen? And if it has to happen, what have we done such that if it has to happen, the gravity will be less? Our role as cyber security professionals is to lessen the gravity of the risk that will occur. The risk is going to occur. There's a probability that one day something will happen. What is our role? Our role is to ensure that if something has to happen, the gravity, the damage should not be as high as if we just sit and watch and fold our arms and watch. So we do everything in order to prevent it not from happening, but to prevent it in order to lessen the gravity of damage that can occur if anything there happens. And for us to prevent or to lessen that gravity, we need to put in place what are called controls. Controls are mechanisms. Controls are tools. Controls are practices. Controls are processes that can be put in place so that if anything wants to happen, the damage will not be, the impact of the damage will be at a lesser magnitude. So when we are called up as cybersecurity professionals, before you go to sit anywhere, you have to be able to understand the different types of controls that can be put in place in order to lessen the damage of a risk or damage of an incident that can occur in any organization. So what are some of the things that we can put? What are some of the controls that we can put in place in order to ensure availability? What are some of the things that we can do? In order to ensure availability, we can always have software and data backups. Like we said, if you want to use data, you want to transmit data, now you are going, that data is not even available because somebody has corrupted it, because somebody has stolen the data, because something has happened to that data. How are you going to transmit the data? That other company C, is waiting for you. You are doing business, or it's an application. We are doing online business. Our customers wake up in the morning and they have to begin to place their orders. We have 1 minute, please. We have to begin to process those orders that we have placed a previous day. We have to begin to prepare the packages that they have ordered, following the orders, making their invoices and the rest. If they are not there, what can we do? So we have to ensure that our software is available, our data is backed up, our software is backed up. We also do what is called this shadowing. We also do what is called rollback functions. So those are some of the things that you can do in order to have your availability. Whatever you are looking for, it should be there at the appropriate time. We have to do all of that in order to ensure our machines are there, our applications are there, all these assets that we need to use in order to continue with the business or to continue to carry out business activities are available, so that production will not stop at any point, so that there will be no slowdown in our activities. We have to ensure availability. Integrity, what can we do? We can do hashing. Like we said, we hash our data when it is data at rest. When data is at rest, we can do a hash. Doing a hash means that data is coded in such a way that if anybody tampers with it, then at the end of it, we are going to understand that something has happened to this data. Because once you save any data and then you hash it, it generates those codes. And if somebody comes the next minute and does that and try to do anything to it, by the end of the day, when you try to generate the codes, you realize that the codes are no longer the same. Now you know that this information has been tampered with. That's just the way to identify whether information has been tampered with or not. So you have to go back to the original hashing and use that instead of using the second or the third or the fourth, because attackers will always try to do whatever thing in order to have what they want. You can also do what is called access control, which could be physical or technical. You put your access control in order to prevent unauthorized modification of data, unauthorized editing, or maybe taking away, or whatever thing they want to do with the data that has been processed, data that is stored in our system. What can you do? We can have access control. We can, and this access control could be physical, it could be technical. Like I mentioned, that physical controls could be things like CCTV cameras. We can put iron doors. We can put fence the company. We can put technical now could be you put a password in your system. You put an antivirus so that viruses will not destroy the data. Physical also could be you put a cage round. If it's a laptop or a server, you can put a cage round that server. You can put a cage round that data. Sorry, a cage around that laptop or a server or a desktop or whatever. That is just to prevent it from somebody having access to the computer and changing or modifying the data. What can we do for confidentiality? How can we ensure confidentiality? We can encrypt the data, like we said, when it's being transmitted. If the data is being transmitted, we can encrypt it. like we can have TLS. What is TLS? Transport layer security. We can have secure shells. We can have IPsec. We will still address these things. I'm just trying to mention them. That's why I'm just trying to. We will still be looking at them as we move on. So now it's just like introduction, and we just want to mention some of these things. We will study them in detail. You have to know all these things in detail. When we talk about secure share, what are we talking about? When we talk about IPsec, what are we talking about? We have to know all those things. So we can also, for confidentiality, we can also have access controls, which could be which could also be physical, which could also be technical, and which could also be administrative, because everything in an organization, every activity that is carried out in an organization stems from what is known as a policy. And policies are administrative controls. They will write down what should be done in their policies. What do we need to do if we are setting up a password? How lengthy, what is the length, what should be the length of a password in this organization? Our experts have told us that short characters, passwords with short characters are easily hacked, because there is a password hacking where they will try to do force to get your password. So if we do short characters, we have few characters, what is going to happen? If we have longer characters, what is going to happen? So the experts will guide us on what should be done, and then we write a policy based on the advice that we have gotten. And so when we do that, we are able to protect our information from being disclosed to unauthorized personnel. So are there any questions before we continue?
Yes, madam.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to ask a question. When we're talking about these controls,
Yes.
like for example, you have confidentiality and
Yes.
integrity. I want to ask that some call like confidentiality deal with unauthorized access, maybe to the server. Let's just assume there's a server, unauthorized access to a server. Why now integrity deals with modification? That maybe to modify data or change things. Yeah. So I want to ask that some of the controls, the same controls, for example, a logical control like a password, you can put a password. A logical control can still work for confidentiality and work for integrity. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Yes, like I said,
Then
there are certain situations where you can have the three controls, the three different levels of controls put in place in order to protect one thing. You remember when I was talking at the beginning, I said each asset requires a different level of control. And it doesn't mean that the control that can go for confidentiality must be different from the control that can go for confidentiality. No. Confidentiality, if you come and steal, let's say we have an on-site campus and we have stored our data in a server, and that server has not been caged, and thieves broke into that office in the night and carry away that data. And carry away that server. That server does not have a password. What do you think is going to happen? When they carry away the server, they are going to log into that server, and they will have access to the confidential or to the top secret or to the secret information that is stored in that computer. Am I right or wrong?
yeah, right.
Correct. So look at what happened. Now, to protect that server, so that information, somebody should not be disclosed to an authorized person, That is what? Confidentiality, right?
Yes, no, confidentiality.
Yes, confidentiality. The second thing is that when that person have access to that information, they can unauthorizedly modify it. What is that?
That's integrity.
That's integrity.
Integrity.
Now, correct, integrity.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, that server, when we come in the morning to work, that server is no longer there. What is that?
It's no longer availability. It's no more accessible.
It's no more accessible. So look at
availability. Is no more accessible. Yeah.
Integrity, confidentiality is all gone. So if we put a physical control, which is what? First of all, putting a fence around the compound, around the facility or the premise, and then putting a security guard. We have that fence, and then we have a security guard. By the time these guys appeared in order to break into the office, they were interrupted by the security guard. Let us say that they over this whatever they were able to maybe beat the security guard and break into the compound. As they approached the door, that door had an iron door with double locks. They were not even able to get into that. Or let's say that they even break through the iron doors, because some of them come real prepared. They broke through the iron doors with the double locks, they destroyed them, broke the door, and got in. Now, the second thing is, when they got in, that the server was not even caged, or even with the cage, they could dig it. Some cages are built very solid, but they can destroy it. They destroyed the cage, and they still carried, and they were able to have access to the server. But with the server, as they took it home, the solid password that we have, they could not bypass that password. They were not able to bypass the password. They did everything possible, but they could not log into the server. Are you understanding what has happened? Do you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you see that the availability, we have the availability because these people are unable to log into that server. They are unable to log into that server. So even if they have the laptop is not available, or the laptop is available, but they are unable to log into the data. So we have our data, we will come back and we'll have our data. So what are we talking about here? What was your question again? Your question was that, can you use the same controls to protect availability, integrity, or availability and confidentiality? Yes, because let's say that they were unable to break through the iron doors or the double locks. That's physical control. And now, because they are not able to break through the physical control, they cannot have access to the desktop or to the server or to the laptop. So they cannot, now confidentiality has been ensured, integrity has been ensured. Why? Because the physical control was there.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So you see that it goes round and round. And it depends on what we are trying to prevent, trying to protect. It depends on what we are trying to protect.
Thank you, thank you, Doctor. Yeah, no, lots of information, but I mean, that's been broken down to smaller pieces. I'm sure you all are getting but most of the things, like even the encryption, hashing that Doctor mentioned, you guys will do them handy. You do practicals on how to how to perform all of those, and that is what really makes the training different from other trainings out there. It's not just the theory, but you'll probably be able to do some of these things, like do the attack themselves, perform the attacks and everything, ensure put in place the controls, like even